John D. Rockefeller, the man who built an oil empire and became the world's first billionaire. But what habits made him unstoppable? Today, we break down 10 Rockefeller habits that turned a modest beginning into legendary wealth. Habit 1. Clear vision and goals. John D. Rockefeller wasn't just trying to run a successful business, he had a crystal clear vision to dominate and organize the chaotic oil industry. This wasn't about short-term profits. It was about long-term, sustainable control. Rockefeller believed that the oil industry was too volatile, with too many players, inconsistent prices, and frequent bankruptcies. His vision was to bring order, stability, and efficiency. He wanted Standard Oil to become the central, streamlined force in the market, and he pursued this relentlessly. Example: strategic acquisitions. He started by identifying small, inefficient, or struggling oil refineries and buying them out. This wasn't random, it was surgical. By consolidating these refineries under Standard Oil, he reduced waste, improved quality control, and lowered costs. Eventually, his company controlled over 90% of U.S. oil refining. One key example is his acquisition of the Cleveland refineries, where he first started to dominate. At the time, Cleveland was a hub for oil refining, and by acquiring or outcompeting most players there, he gained a foothold to expand nationwide. This consolidation became known as the Cleveland Massacre, a ruthless but effective strategy that aligned perfectly with his long-term vision. Long-term mindset. While competitors chased quick profits, Rockefeller invested in infrastructure pipelines, warehouses, and transportation systems that paid off in the long run. He planned decades ahead, not quarters. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. John D. Rockefeller. This wasn't just business acumen, it was visionary discipline. Habit 2. Persistence and resilience. John D. Rockefeller's journey to becoming the world's first billionaire wasn't smooth. He faced fierce opposition, economic crises, government investigations, media attacks, and lawsuits, yet he never cracked under pressure. What made him different was his unshakable persistence and resilience in the face of adversity. He understood a powerful truth: tough times are opportunities in disguise. Example: the panic of the year, 1873. When the U.S. economy collapsed, most businessmen panicked. Companies failed. Investors fled. But Rockefeller saw a strategic opportunity, not a setback. As weaker refineries struggled to survive, he moved quickly and decisively, acquiring them at rock-bottom prices. This wasn't luck, it was preparation meeting opportunity. Rockefeller had the liquidity and courage to act while others hesitated. By the time the economy recovered, Standard Oil was significantly stronger, leaner, more centralized, and dominant. Facing scrutiny and attacks. Later, as his empire grew, Rockefeller became the target of relentless criticism. Journalists like Ida Tarbell exposed Standard Oil's aggressive practices. Antitrust lawsuits followed, eventually leading to the company's breakup in 1911. But here's the key. Even after losing Standard Oil, Rockefeller didn't collapse. Instead, he reinvested his wealth, became a pioneer in modern philanthropy, and continued to grow richer. He understood that failure or resistance wasn't the end, it was part of the path. I always tried to turn every disaster into an opportunity. John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller's resilience wasn't just about enduring hardship. It was about staying calm, thinking strategically, and acting boldly when others froze. Habit 3: efficiency and cost management. If there was one thing Rockefeller hated, it was waste. He believed that every drop of oil, every second of labor, and every cent spent had to serve the mission. His obsession wasn't just with making money, it was with making operations flawless. He didn't want Standard Oil to be the biggest. He wanted it to be the most efficient machine in American industry. Example: railroad negotiations. Rockefeller knew that shipping was one of the largest costs in the oil business. So instead of accepting the high freight rates, he went directly to the railroads. But he didn't just ask for a discount, he brought leverage. By offering massive, regular shipments of oil in large volumes, he secured deep discounts, a move that crushed smaller competitors who couldn't match his shipping volume. This wasn't just a smart deal, it was a masterclass in leverage. His competitors paid full price. Rockefeller paid less and profited more. The man who starts out simply with the idea of getting rich won't succeed. You must have a larger ambition. John D. Rockefeller. Zero waste mentality. At Standard Oil, every byproduct of oil refining was repurposed. Gasoline, which others discarded, was eventually sold as fuel. Tar, paraffin, lubricants, nothing was thrown away. Even the barrels used to store oil were redesigned to hold more product with less leakage. His mindset: if you're throwing it away, you're throwing away profit. Habit 4. Vertical integration. Control the chain. Control the game. Most men build a product. Rockefeller built an ecosystem. In business, control is power. Rockefeller understood that relying on others for transport, packaging, or distribution meant leaving your profits in their hands. So he did something bold. He didn't just run one piece of the oil business. He took over every link in the chain. Example: full ownership from ground to consumer. Upstream. He sourced crude oil from fields through exclusive contracts and partnerships. Midstream. He owned the pipelines, rail tank cars, and storage facilities, eliminating the need for third-party transport. Downstream. He controlled refineries, barrel manufacturing plants, and even retail outlets where kerosene and other oil products were sold to the public. He didn't just pump oil. He owned the barrels it went in. He owned the trains that moved it. And he owned the stores that sold it. Why depend on a partner when you can become the entire system? The elimination of the middleman. By vertically integrating Rockefeller, cut out middlemen and their markups, reduced delays and errors in logistics, protected Standard Oil from pricing manipulation, gained complete control over pricing and quality. While competitors were fighting over scraps, Rockefeller streamlined every operation under one roof. That gave him unmatched efficiency and overwhelming market power. This wasn't just good business, it was revolutionary. In an era where companies were fragmented and inefficient, Rockefeller created a seamless industrial machine. If you control the entire process, you don't just make money, you decide how much everyone else gets. Habit 5. Trust and honesty. Ruthless to rivals, fair to his own. To the outside world, Rockefeller was a ruthless monopolist, but inside Standard Oil, he was a man of principle. Critics saw a titan obsessed with power. But those who worked under him saw something else. A leader who honored his word, respected talent, and built a culture of trust. The duality of Rockefeller. To competitors, he was uncompromising. But to his employees and partners, he was loyal, transparent, and fair. While newspapers accused him of destroying free enterprise, Rockefeller was busy paying above-average wages, rewarding loyalty, and offering stable long-term employment. We never failed to pay a man what we promised, and more if he earned it. Rockefeller. Example: fair pay and employee loyalty. Rockefeller paid his workers generously, even during economic downturns. He provided safe working conditions and offered long-term job security, a rarity in the volatile 19th century economy. He often shared profits and gave bonuses to managers who saved money or improved efficiency. This wasn't just generosity, it was strategy. When other industrialists suffered from strikes and labor unrest, Standard Oil's workforce remained loyal and productive. They trusted him because he didn't break promises even when it cost him. Building an internal culture of ethics. Inside Standard Oil, Rockefeller demanded honest accounting, transparent communication, zero tolerance for waste, theft, or corruption. If a manager padded numbers or made shady deals, he was gone no matter how valuable he seemed. This internal integrity made Standard Oil not just powerful, but scalable. If you can't trust the people who run your empire will crumble from the inside. Habit 6: strategic decision-making, calculated moves over impulsive reactions. In a world of impulsive men chasing fast money, Rockefeller moved like a chess master, always 3 steps ahead. John D. Rockefeller didn't play the game. He studied the board, watched the players, and changed the rules. A mind for strategy, not emotion. Most businessmen of the time were reactive, chasing short-term profit, responding emotionally to threats, or copying others. Rockefeller did the opposite. He analyzed data. He read market cycles. He waited until the perfect moment and then moved with precision. His secret weapon? Patience combined with bold execution. Example: building pipelines instead of fighting railroads. At first, Rockefeller relied heavily on railroads to transport oil, but he wasn't naive. He knew that if they turned on him or raised prices, Standard Oil would be vulnerable. So rather than fight them or beg for deals, he played a smarter game. He quietly funded and built his own pipeline network, a groundbreaking move that bypassed the railroad monopoly, cut transportation costs dramatically, gave Standard Oil full independence and control. While competitors were stuck negotiating rates, Rockefeller's oil flowed freely and cheaply across states, giving him a deadly cost advantage. Don't fight the storm. Build your own shelter. Other strategic masterstrokes. During the panic of the year 1873, when others panicked and sold, Rockefeller acquired distressed competitors, expanding Standard Oil at a discount. He standardized oil barrels and processes to cut inefficiencies competitors never even noticed. Instead of putting his name on everything like Carnegie or Vanderbilt, he often acted through shell companies, keeping his moves silent until it was too late for rivals to respond. Success wasn't about moving fast, it was about moving smart. Rockefeller's life proves that in business, the best move isn't always the loudest. It's the one nobody sees coming. Fortunes are not made by chance, but by choosing when to strike. Habit 7. Continuous learning. Never stop growing. For John D. Rockefeller, learning wasn't just a habit, it was a way of life. In an era when many industrialists relied on brute force and gut instincts, Rockefeller chose a different path. He became a lifelong student of business, markets, and human nature. A mind always hungry for knowledge. Rockefeller devoured information from financial reports to scientific advancements. He believed that staying ahead meant knowing more than everyone else, especially about shifting markets and technologies. He once said, "The secret of success is to do the common things uncommonly well and to always be curious." Example: studying market trends to adapt strategies. He closely watched oil supply and demand cycles, predicting price shifts before they happened. When kerosene demand surged with the rise of lamps, he adjusted refining capacity swiftly to meet it. When new refining technologies appeared, he was among the first to adopt them, cutting costs and improving quality. By constantly learning and adapting, Standard Oil didn't just react to changes. It set the pace for the entire industry. Learning from mistakes. Rockefeller didn't pretend to be perfect. He carefully reviewed failures and losses, using them as lessons, not excuses. When early ventures didn't pan out, he analyzed why and refined his approach. This humility and intellectual rigor helped him avoid repeated mistakes and refine his empire-building strategy. Why continuous learning matters. Rockefeller's success shows that no matter how powerful you become, the game changes, and to win, you must change with it. When you stop learning, you start falling behind. Habit 8. Effective communication. Keeping the machine running smoothly. John D. Rockefeller knew that even the greatest vision would fail without clear communication. Running an empire like Standard Oil meant coordinating thousands of employees, dozens of refineries, pipelines, and offices across the country. Without effective communication, the whole operation could quickly become a tangled mess. Information flow as a competitive advantage. Rockefeller made sure information flowed quickly and clearly from the top down and from the ground up. He held regular meetings with his top executives to discuss strategy, challenges, and progress. These meetings weren't just updates, they were problem-solving sessions that kept the entire company aligned on goals. Rockefeller demanded transparency. No sugarcoating, no hidden problems. This allowed the company to react swiftly and decisively. Example: aligning executives for swift decision-making. If a refinery faced a production issue or a new opportunity arose, the right people knew about it immediately. Executives didn't work in silos, they shared information freely, coordinated efforts, and moved as a single, unified force. This seamless communication gave Standard Oil a huge edge over competitors, who often suffered from delays and miscommunication. Good communication is the oil that keeps the wheels of business turning. Leadership through clarity. Rockefeller's communication style was clear, direct, and focused on results. He didn't micromanage, but he made sure everyone understood the big picture and their role in it. This fostered trust and accountability throughout the company. Habit 9. Accountability and leadership. Trusting the team to build the empire. John D. Rockefeller wasn't a micromanager, he was a visionary who knew the power of delegation. To build a business empire as vast as Standard Oil, one man can't do everything. Rockefeller understood this early on. He built a team of skilled, trusted managers and gave them the freedom and responsibility to run their divisions. Delegation as a force multiplier. Rockefeller carefully chose managers who shared his vision and standards. He empowered them with authority to make decisions, hold their teams accountable, and innovate. Instead of micromanaging, he focused on big-picture strategy, trusting his leaders to handle day-to-day operations. Example: expanding without micromanagement. This approach allowed Standard Oil to scale rapidly without collapsing under its own weight. React quickly to local challenges and opportunities. Maintain high operational standards across hundreds of facilities. Managers felt valued and motivated because they were entrusted, not controlled. This created a culture of ownership and responsibility throughout the company. Great leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. Leadership by example. Rockefeller led with integrity and clarity, inspiring his team to follow his vision passionately. He set high expectations, but also gave the tools and trust needed to meet them. This balance of accountability and empowerment was a key reason Standard Oil thrived where others faltered. Habit 10. Rest and productivity. Balancing hard work with renewal. John D. Rockefeller knew success wasn't just about relentless work, it was about balance. In the race to build an empire, many burn out or lose sight of what truly matters. Rockefeller was different. He understood that to stay productive and focused, he needed time to rest, reflect, and recharge. The power of balance. He prioritized family time, making sure to be present for his wife and children despite his busy schedule. He was deeply involved in philanthropy, donating vast sums to causes like education, health, and religion. These activities weren't distractions, they gave him purpose beyond profit and renewed his energy to lead. Example: philanthropy and personal renewal. Rockefeller gave away over $500 million in his lifetime, billions today, founding institutions like the University of Chicago and the Rockefeller Foundation. This commitment to giving back reflected his belief in responsibility beyond wealth. By balancing intense business focus with personal rest and philanthropy, Rockefeller maintained clarity, drive, and resilience throughout his life. The secret to productivity isn't working harder, it's working smarter and knowing when to pause.